Okay, so this is for Parshas Yisro. Chazal tell us, Vayishma Yisro, Yisro heard. And Rashi brings the Medrash, which says that means he heard two things. Mashmua Shama Uba, Kriyas Yamsuf and Melchemes Amalek, the splitting of the sea and the battle with Amalek. So the first question is, why would the battle of Amalek be compelling to him? If anything, that was a negative. Kriyat Yamsuf we understand, but why particularly Kriyat Yamsuf as opposed to any of the other miracles? Okay. The next question is that when Moshe greets Yisro, so Yisro has a very strong reaction upon hearing what happened. Vayiseper Moshe lechotuno es kol asher asa leparo Mitzrayim al ados Yisrael es kol tolah asher matzasam baderech vatzilei Adonai. So vayichad Yisro. Yisro was shocked to the point that his skin became chadudim. Rashi says it was like goosebumps. And Chazal points out that since he was not Jewish and he heard all the great fortune for the Jewish people, he was a little bit overwhelmed. One should be sensitive not to praise the Jewish people and, I guess, put down non-Jews in the company of converts or non-Jews, obviously. So what was this great reaction that Yisro had that he didn't already know? Rashi says, what did Moshe tell him about? He told him about Kriyas Yamsuf v'Amalek, the things that he already knew. So the question is, why was Yisro so overly excited about things that he already knew? This was yesterday's newspaper. So I'd just like to suggest something very simple. Yisro presented himself as Chosein Moshe, the father-in-law of Moshe. In other words, he felt that it wasn't about the Jewish people. It was about Moshe Rabbeinu and his greatness. Yisro was no stranger to the house of Paro and his power. In fact, he flees the house of Paro and does not give bad advice to Paro on behalf of Jewish people. So he understood the feat that Moshe accomplished was beyond anything rational. And however, when Moshe approaches him, he doesn't present himself as being the center of the miracle, but rather Am Yisrael. That it wasn't about Moshe, Moshe says. It's not about me. You thought it's about me. It's really nothing to do with me. Vayisaper Moshe lechosno es kol asher asa Adonai leparo u'lemitzrayim. What Hashem did to Paro Mitzrayim al odos Yisrael, for the Jewish people, not because of me, Moshe Rabbeinu said. That transformed Yisro. Yisro now understood that the Jewish people were chosen people on their own merit. It had nothing to do with the great power or punishment that was due to Paro, or the great power of Moshe Rabbeinu. It was something completely different, that the nation of Israel was chosen among all the nations, and this truly inspired him. Perhaps that's why Yisro gave an unusual advice. He said, Moshe Rabbeinu, on the next day, I'll tell you how to run Klal Yisrael. Like most father-in-laws like to give advice, basically. They think their kids don't know what they're doing, especially what are you doing with my daughter, and so on and so on.
And the mother-in-laws.
And the mother-in-laws, yeah, exactly. So he says, let me give you some advice. Let me tell you how to run your life here. You need captains of Sari Alafim, Sari Asaro, Sari Mea, Sari Chamishim. You need captains all the way down to Sari Asaros. You need captains of tens. Captains of tens. Why? To avoid litigation. Well, maybe you'll say 2 Jews, 3 opinions, and you need a lawyer for every 10 Jews. Maybe that is chas v'sholom true. However, it's mugzam. It seems exaggerated. Why does, even in any judicial court system, we have Beit Mishpat HaShalom, a regional court. We have high courts. We don't have a court for 10 people, for every 10 people. So if this person served as a judge, what was he judging? 10 people. So perhaps the explanation is as follows. Yisro learned from Moshe that the Jewish people, each and every one of them, was a worthy recipient of the Shekhinah. That's what Moshe told him. He says, the Jewish people split the Yam Suf not because of me. Daber b'nei Yisrael v'Yisrael. Let them go. They've earned it. By virtue of their faith in me, they've earned the direct presence of Hashem. And therefore, how do you do that? How do you get each and every Jew to claim Hashem's presence if there's bad midos, if there's fights, if there's arguments, if there's jealousy, if there's hatred, if there's strife? Of even the smallest nature, the Shekhinah runs away. The Shekhinah wants to be in the presence of a place that's called Shalom, a place where there's Shalom Bayis, a place where there's wholeness, not a feeling of lack. You have to be besimcha, and besimcha is only when you're happy, right? Ezuhu ashir hasa meach bechelko. And therefore, he suggested to Moshe, why don't you sit down with small groups, a minyan. People will talk out their midos, will develop themselves, and make sure that they will help each other become worthy of recipients of the Shekhinah. That's the point. It's not because we're expecting lawsuits from every 10 Jews, but rather we need to remove the bad midos, and this takes work. Everybody knows the medrash about Moshe Rabbeinu, that a great king sent a artist to make a portrait of him. Oh, yeah. There was a great king that sent his artist to make a portrait of Moshe Rabbeinu because he heard so much about Moshe Rabbeinu. Comes back and he sees a portrait of a man who looks angry, not kind of like a mean-looking guy. This is Moshe Rabbeinu. He expected an angelic presence, and Moshe really was an angelic presence. And he sent a messenger back to Moshe saying, "Is this you?" And he says, "Yeah, it's me. But I thought you were this incredible." And he says, "Yeah, I worked on myself. What the artist captured was my original self. He didn't see to the deeper level of what in my inner self, what I've accomplished. But yeah, he's right. All those midos were there, and I had to conquer all of them." So perhaps that's what Yisro came to understand. And then the message, of course, is that we have to work on ourselves to become a place where the Shekhinah is worthy of residing, and that means we have to make shalom with ourselves, and that's not an easy thing to do. Within ourselves, and the advice is that you do it in a group, and a group dynamic is best. You have to talk. If you're only have your own perspective, you don't have a perspective. It helps people understand what's right, what's wrong. Maybe I was wrong, maybe I was right, maybe I was over. Give a reality check, and also give chizuk, and also set goals, and that's really a kind of a midos growth group that Yisro recommended. Okay.